What's going on, guys? Seth Russo here, and today I want to talk to you about one of my favorite topics ever: why color matters in your images. And I also want to show you how you can effectively and quickly grade your image to make it really stand out and really put your film over the top. Thanks for joining me today. Why do I want to talk about color? Well, there's a few reasons why I want to talk about color. One of the main reasons why is because I truly believe color is that thing that can really separate your film and set it apart from the crowd, especially when you use color to tell a story. I'm going to show you guys today a film I recently cut together, just a quick 1-minute film for Instagram, and how I used color in two different parts of the story to tell two different stories in themselves just with the colors. So if you watched this film on silent, you could really tell the difference between the two scenes without hearing anything and only by seeing it. So I just want to contrast two movies really quick. The first movie is Drive. And this movie uses the color palette that's really dark and gritty, and it's telling a story just through the use of color. And the second movie I want to talk about real quick and just show you is Grand Budapest Hotel. This movie is using very warm tones, reds and pinks, to tell a completely different story. This story is more comedic, it's more warm, it's quirky. So as you can see, both these movies, before even speaking a word to you, are telling you a story through the colors they are using. And so I'm attempting to do that in this short film that I'm gonna show you next, and I'm also gonna show you guys how I color graded this film. So I'm super excited to show you guys how I color correct and color grade in Premiere. So let's hop in there right now.
Okay, so we're gonna start off by just adjusting our curves on this image. This is a log image, so there's a lot of information and it's very flat. So the first thing we need to do is look at our shadows. Over here on our RGB parade, you'll notice the shadows are at the bottom of the RGB parade. And over here on your curves, it's gonna be your bottom left. So we're just gonna take this and drag it over to the right until we see over on the left there with our RGB parade that you're touching the bottom. So they just touched the bottom. So now I'm going to bring up the midtones, which is going to be right here in the middle. I noticed that the image is a little bit underexposed, so I'm going to just properly expose it. I think that might be a little much, but let's go to the highlights first. And I want the highlights right here to go all the way up. So I'm just going to drag this guy over to the left. And yeah, you can tell it's a little overexposed, so I'm going to bring these midtones down just a hair. I think that's perfect. That looks much better. Just adjusting the curves, you can see how much work you can get done just by working in here. So since we're on the image, I really like to color correct on the image itself. I color grade on an adjustment layer, but I always color correct each clip individually. So I'm going to make sure my skin tones and my colors in general are balanced out. So if you look over here, you can notice that our blues are a little high on the highlights, and you can see that in the skin tones a little bit. So let's go ahead and bring those blues down just a hair. And then if you bring those down, you'll notice it gets really green really fast. So I'm going to go over to the green, bring the green down, and now we're getting pretty balanced. We're getting to the point where we're pretty balanced. So the skin tones are looking better. The image lacks a little bit of contrast, but we're going to go ahead and worry about that in the adjustment layer. So let's go over to the adjustment layer. Basic correction. I'm going to boost this up to about 45%. That's looking great. I'm going to bring the temperature down -10 to make the overall feel. I want it to be a little colder. Now this is where it gets fun. I'm going to go over to Creative tab and sharpen up 20. That's going across all the images in this sequence. And now I'm going to go browse my LUT folder and go to the Drive LUT. This is a LUT pack by Triune Films over at Film Riot. Love those guys. They do amazing things. You should go check them out. I'm just going to apply this LUT, and I notice immediately it's a little strong. So I'm going to bring this guy down, the intensity down to about 60, I would say 60%, because I do want it to be a little over the top. I do like the feeling I'm going for. So yeah, that's the final image right there. I really like the dark circles under the eyes. I like how cold it feels. I like how sterile it feels. That's really what I'm going for. So if you go ahead and take off the adjustment layer and the curves, that's what we started with. In a few simple clicks, that's where we're at now. I think it's a great image. and it's perfect, the tone I'm going for the first half of this film. So here we are at the second part of the film. In this part of the film, I'm really going for a dreamy, heaven-like feel. So I'm going to go for warmer tones, milkier blacks, but I always like to color correct my image before I start color grading it. So what I'm going to do right now is, I'm not too worried about the RGB parade. When there's no skin tones involved, I'm just not nearly as worried, because nothing's really going to stick out too bad if you mess that up or if it's not dialed in perfectly. So I really go off of just look and how I like it. So I'm not too worried over here. I'm going to bring the shadows down just a hair, right about there. Looks good to me. So that's the difference there. And then I'm going to immediately go to my adjustment layer. And this is the big thing when you're going for that dreamy look for me. I really like milky black. So I'm going to bring my blacks up to about 35 and really give it that milky feel. And then let me go over to creative. I'm going to boost sharpening 20%, and then I'm going to go over my effect controls. I'm actually going to apply a crop. A crop is already applied. I'm just going to enable it. So I'm doing 12% on the top, 12% on the bottom. It's going to give it that cinematic feel. And here is the kicker right here, guys. The Triune Film LUT pack. I'm going to apply something called Mad Max Fury Road LUT. It's a warm kind of orange and teal LUT that really gives this image the feel I'm going for. So apply that, and there's your final image. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you guys enjoy the film. I'll see you guys next week. Take it easy.
How long have you been asleep? Your consciousness carried away by the sea of repetition. And although there's something pulling, you just can't seem to break free from the comfort in conformity. But what if? I mean, what would happen if instead of clinging to what you know, you simply let go? Adventure isn't waiting. It's already inside you. Awaken your life. Join the movement.